All right, what's happening, everyone? I'm Matt Sura, and here with Luke, and
What's
welcome
up?
to the Luke and Brett Show. We were talking again before this, and Luke had to stop me because even though we've known each other for a long time and we've been doing this for quite some time now, we started talking, and he's like, "Brett, press record. Like let's capture this. We don't need to do that." So that's really funny. How you doing, Luke?
I'm doing awesome, man.
Yeah. So we talked about the hot topic right now is Chat GPT. And it's not necessarily Chat GPT as much as I would say artificial intelligence, but Chat GPT is like I kind of look at them as AOL because they were the first ones to really,
Right.
dating ourselves. But remember how you used to always get those CDs and you got mail kind of stuff. So
Right.
I think that AI, this is a tool that is and I think a lot I think you think the same thing. I think this is going to be the game changer. This is going to be equivalent to the evolution of the internet with AOL or those first internet coming
Right.
into the business. That's what I think. What do you think?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there was like the internet, then I think the next big shift was like the mobile phone, the iPhone, the apps, like all of that whole ecosystem. And this is, I'm 100% on board with like that. This is the next shift.
Yeah, most definitely. So we came up with the top 5 things, and I can't say we, because one of the ways that I use Chat GPT or AI is to help frame conversations. It takes a lot, it really helps the creative juices going. So I was curious what Chat GPT had to say on what are 5 ways that real estate agents could use Chat GPT in their business. Now, look, there's a learning curve to this. You could go there and you can start working on it right now and fiddle around with it. But as we've talked about in prior videos, you need to have some foundations built in to actually be able to use it. This is like buying a hammer. Just because you go out and buy a hammer doesn't necessarily mean that you have everything that you need to actually build a house. So we're going to talk more about this. And the funny thing is, Luke's like already doing all of this stuff. So number one, answering customer questions. And this is what it said. Answering customer questions, Chat GPT can help answer customers' questions about real estate properties, such as property details, pricing, location, and amenities, by providing quick and accurate answers to customers' queries. Chat GPT can help real estate agents save time and improve customer satisfaction. Now that kind of blows my mind because right now what you're doing is you're creating this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you're creating a chat sequence that operates on text messaging, where if someone texts a question, you're having Chat GPT field those answers, right?
Yeah. It's we're not currently connected to like MLS or anything like that, which I think that's kind of like where this is leading. And to me, right now, to my understanding, I don't think there's any existing products out there that are, but it is definitely on the horizon. So we're my main focus on it right now is more of like the sales process and having a confined conversation to some general basic concepts like sales, like fact finding, what are you looking for, type stuff.
So could this be something used that if like a real estate agent listed a property and they put the information, if they somehow provide that information to Chat GPT, maybe come up, you and I always talk that 90% of all questions from buyers and sellers are going to be the same. We know what they want. They want to know what the price is.
Right.
They want to know what the amenities are. They want to know what the schools they are. They want to know how great the schools are. Is this something that a real estate agent or I guess even a loan officer in regards to different type of loan products, FHA, VA, Fannie, Freddie, conforming, jumbo, etc. Is this something that they could feed in on a very micro local level, property specific, and really have AI? So you're feeding the factual information to AI, and AI is just using that as the background to answer those those questions based maybe not on a macro level, but on a very
Yeah.
property level. Is that possible as you understand it right now?
Um, It's definitely possible. The big challenge that I see in this specific example is the user interface, or like, where does that live? How does that, how do you connect your customers, your clients to that? So that's the big gap that right now, as we sit at the filming of this. Now, I think that's probably going to be closed extremely fast
Yeah,
by
pretty
some
fast, probably.
company or some startup or some sort of disruption. But that's for right now at the time of this. But that could be changed in 20 days, right?
Well, look what happened in the
With
last
how
30
fast
days, last
right,
60 days. Chat GPT came out, OpenAI came out, disrupted the whole market. Now Bing is rushing, Microsoft is coming in, Google's coming in. I think Google's going to make a big splash. Remember when Periscope came out
yeah,
and the rave of that, and then all of a sudden Facebook came in and offered a similar product on their platform, and it just
right.
decimated that whole. I don't even know if they're still around. Are they? It's
I don't think so. I think they got. I
like
I
Snapchat.
I'm
Are they
probably
still around?
probably Snapchat's still alive and kicking, but I think I want to say Periscope got absorbed by Twitter or something like that, but
Ah, I didn't know that.
or just maybe possibly just died on the vine.
Have you been on Twitter lately, dude? What Elon has done with
Passively, but
Twitter, um, I think it's pretty amazing. Whether or not somebody
yeah,
likes him or not, I do. But what he's done and turned that company around from a user standpoint, from a user
mhm.
experience, I enjoy it much more than I used to.
Yeah, I definitely find myself on it more often for sure. It just the product improvement, just minor stuff. It's crazy. Like it's like, oh my gosh, you focus a little bit of time and attention on like little things, and just
Little
vastly make.
moves make big. Ooh, there's a quote that we can come up with on this. Little moves make big outcomes. There you go. Okay, so that
Little
was number
hinges
one. Going
swing
back
big
onto the
doors.
subject, we have answering customer questions. So you're doing that. Number two, personalized marketing. Chat GPT can analyze customer data to create personalized marketing messages for potential home buyers. By understanding a customer's preference and interest, Chat GPT can suggest properties that match their requirements, such as size, style, location, and price. Now, I guess this comes back to you, is that to your knowledge and to my knowledge, there's nothing that's really connecting into the MLS. My guess is that maybe it's one of the big companies that's gonna probably come to market with that. But again, maybe you're doing the marketing a little bit different, right?
Yeah, so I mean, I think some of the lists that they're coming up with is like in a foreshadowing like what's coming or what could come or some of the things that is possible of it rather than like what's applicable
What's
right
what's
now,
what you can do right now.
right?
Well, and this is a
And
good example of why you don't want to miss the boat. Typically the people who are early adopters and start, going into what you and I have talked about. It's taken us 20 years to get to the point where we can fundamentally create a funnel in a few hours
right,
and have it deployed. When we first started, we were learning it. We had a learning curve, and we were duct taping a lot of these different systems together. But that journey made it to whereas we can do things really. We can go quick to market on from an idea. Right now, if we're talking about things of what this is capable of going forward, then for those professionals, those mortgage professionals, those real estate professionals, those anyone,
yeah,
now's the time to adopt it, to start figuring out how you can use it now, because that's going to make it so your learning curve, you're just going to grow with the new releases, with the new things that come out,
right.
right? Like I have no doubt in my mind that when that gap is spread, is that you're going to be on it like that, and we're gonna talk on a Friday, and then the next Friday you're going to tell me what you did, and it's going to blow my mind, and then I'm going to say I'm going to do that. If you guys haven't caught on, Luke's the tip of the spear when we're talking tech. I'm the Asian one, but he's the tip of the spear when we're going on that. So, but what are you doing with marketing?
So I really try to focus in on like what people can do now and what is implementable, executable, like what's the low hanging fruit. That is because all of this stuff is great, right? But if it's not accessible and executable by, the normal person, then it's all for naught. So really, really basic stuff, just like an email newsletter, right? Like crafting an email to send out to your existing database.
Huge.
Like let's keep it simple, stupid. Okay, let's start out with some core building blocks that we can implement today, rather than and like you said, this is the perfect stepping stone to make sure that we are on top of things and using it and learning it as we go and don't get left behind, because you will absolutely, beyond a shadow of a doubt, get left behind or replaced if you're not on board. Like
Yeah.
it's happening
Yeah.
whether you like it or not. And it's not like this isn't one of those, you know, I know I need to be creating more content type of moments. This is like the train is on, going down the tracks and you can get on or not.
Yeah.
But if you don't, you're going to get left behind. So
You know,
email newsletters, social media post, website, blog post, video scripts. I mean, really core, fundamental, basic stuffs that can be deployed like day one right now.
and as you were talking about that, it's not just an email newsletter; it's a physical newsletter. We've talked about that
Mhm.
often. I think there's an opportunity there for people to stay top of mind, and it's more valuable if you're getting it to them physically. But it can help you draft those as well. It can help you do all content. In fact, I know that you and I are both using those on the daily to help those to stream things along, and it really affects efficiency.
Yeah.
It's doing to content creation what the cotton gin did, 150 years ago or whatever, when that was created, to, picking cotton.
Right.
It's revolutionary. One of the things that you said that kind of stirred a thought for me is uh, going back to the first point is the connectors. Look, as I understand it, you and I, we've talked about the white label software, the digital platform that we utilize called Go High Level. But we also have used I don't even know what we call it, what we call Zapier and Integromat now Make. I don't even know what we call that, but that those softwares, you have to know you either have to know, or you have to learn, or you have to pay somebody who knows, so you don't have to learn
Hmm.
how to connect these different softwares together. Because right now, I think it's 100% almost impossible to utilize full automation or even partially automation without having knowledge of that.
Yeah.
Now, Chat GPT, you can go and ask it a question. It can help you draft a thing, but then you have to copy it and you have to paste it and you have to send the email out. Whereas what we're talking about is taking 80% of those activities and automating those. And when you
Yeah.
do that, you're saving time. And if you believe time is money and you reinvest that saved time into other activities, that's where you're going to grow and scale your business,
Yeah.
right? I shared a story with you of that real estate agent I know, big producer in San Francisco, like $1 billion a year volume producer, like him and his team, does luxury. And he was sharing with me, and I think I shared this story with you, is Zoom. When we all had to go on, uh, when we all were confined to our houses during Zoom, during the pandemic, and we all went on Zoom, it forced him to actually engage with his clients. And he has a world audience, but it taught him a skill, and it forced adoption into our culture on
Right.
meeting virtually. And he said the amount of time that it saves him from having to drive out and meet somebody to drive back and have those meetings, that saves him a tremendous amount of time. And he reinvested that time into the activities that generated more business, and he more than
Right.
doubled his business just in that. And I look at this as that same activity. If you use this as a tool to work within your current environment. I also have a friend who is very much against it. She's like, I don't believe in it. I don't want to do it. I'm like, look, I think that's a mistake. You don't need to like a tool, but you should at least be aware of it and see how you can actually work it into your business. So I wanted to share that.
Yeah, I think that there's, the first guy you mentioned there, that the adoption and the efficiency, and it's like, hey, you have something that can provide you with like this massive amount of leverage,
Yeah.
and you just want to just poo poo it and put it off to the side. And that's exactly, I mean, that's really, the best way to look at, in my opinion, the best way to look at it right now. And to speak into the lady that was like, I don't want anything to do with that, I'm going to brush it under the rug. It's like, no, use that to help amplify what you do like, and if that's connecting with people, if that's building relationships, like you can do that on a quicker, faster, more efficient scale now, right? You want to send up a personal message to somebody. It's like, hey, here's my friend Joan, write me a caring, message to her
Yeah.
to congratulate her on her birthday. And, this, like, here's her social media profile. Take all this information and write it like,
Yeah.
yeah, right. And so there's
Okay. So
like,
that's crazy. Connect it with the social media profile. Hey, and find out what I could write. That's nuts. I didn't even think about that. That's crazy.
so it's like you're taking things where it's like, hey, I don't want to do this, but like think about how you can use it to help you do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Um, and how can it be applicable versus I don't want to because of this, and that.
Yeah. So, okay, so that was number 2. Number 3 was market analysis. Now, this is one of those future things that we talked about. Chat GPT can provide real estate agents with real-time data and market insights to help them stay up to date with the latest industry trends. This information can include information about interest rates, mortgage rates, and changes in market conditions. So this has to be tied to something. This has to be tied to get the information somewhere, but that is most definitely something that I don't think that could. Do you have a way that you could actually implement something like that right now, or do you think that's on the horizon?
I think this is a really good example of where Google and their chat Bard will just dominate, right?
Yeah,
Because they have the
they
data, they
have the
have
information.
access to everything, right? And so things like this, because I mean, Google's integrating into everything. So we're seeing these players come on board. And that's this week. Google just opened up
Yeah, like
Bard,
literally.
right? So
Are you
in
on
that,
that? Are you on the demo?
I am not. I'm still on the waiting list, so I have not gotten released to that yet. So we'll be looking forward to that. But that is like a perfect example of like they're going to, they have access to the data, and you think they're not going to use that access to create to pour into their product. So that will, when they have the capacity to open up APIs and things like that, you can, the that opens up a lot of doors. But that will be a really good way for people to say, hey, this is where I go. When I want this type of stuff, I go to Bard, right?
Yeah. What does Bard mean? Do you know how they
I
come up
don't
with
know.
that?
It was their horrible naming schematic that they
I
came
think they could probably come up with something like that. They
Yeah,
clearly didn't use AI to come up with their own name because it would have come up with something like really cool.
right. And Microsoft, I do like theirs. They did Copilot, which is like their,
That's kind
which
of cool.
yeah, which that seems. I mean, it just makes sense, but you know, I wouldn't be surprised if we see, some migration from Google, into more, Microsoft centric products. Like me, like I never thought I would ever say that, like, hey, I might consider using Microsoft, um, for because of some of the stuff that they got on the horizon there.
Yeah. Well, apparently Bard thinks that I'm under the age of 18 because it says it doesn't support. Oh, I'm using my workspace account.
Yeah.
It says it doesn't currently support workspace accounts or when our system indicate you might be under 18.
Yeah, so that was my they're like I got the invitation like last week where it was like you've been invited
Oh, I didn't
to
get invited.
and then it was like sorry, you're because I was on my Google Workspace one. They're like we're currently not supported this. I'm like why would you not
Why
support
would you not support Workspace?
a business function but only
A paid
personal, right?
account to Google, and they're only supporting the free accounts. That makes
I'm I'm anticipating a paid upgrade there. Um, we'll open it to the general public for free, but businesses will need to pay. So I'm good.
that's something I would be happy to pay on for
Yeah,
sure.
you know.
Okay,
So
so lead gen can help generate leads. I'm just going to change it to AI. AI can help generate leads by asking potential customers, and I think you are using this way, by asking potential customers questions about their preferences and providing them with tailored property suggestions. Additionally, AI can schedule appointments and follow up for real estate agents to keep leads engaged. You and I were talking about that the biggest challenge was not generating the lead. You're helping these guys generate hundreds, if not thousands of leads. It's getting the people to follow up and engage with their leads. That's
yeah,
the biggest problem. So they're spending a ton of money. And you know what's going to happen? You spend a ton of money and they're not following up on their leads, but they're going to say it's not working. But I believe that you have an automated that takes it to a certain point, right?
yeah. So we've and this is still like beta. We're not even running. It's not open. We're not inviting any open to the public. So we got a handful of people, and it is so people raise their hands, they opt in, so they click on an ad, fill out their information. From that point to booking a phone call. Um, some we have like we're running like if it's really low touch application process, running it all the way through like a HELOC
Wow.
application, just because they're it's super duper simple. There's it's like you check a few boxes. So that's so an application, but primarily, and I think this is probably the best use case because you still like we still want to have that human component to the real estate transaction. There's
Yeah.
there and that's one of the blessings that I think in the real estate space with AI is like it cannot it's not going to there's still going to be a need for a person. you know will there be some disruption? Well, you can have like an artificially created talking head to answer all your questions. Yeah, but people are still going to want to go into physical houses and see physical houses,
Sure.
right?
I mean,
It's
but
just
here's what I find though, and this is true when I mean, I had that, what was it called? The flip cam? God, I can't remember. It was this big, but God, I can't remember what it's called. Anyways, what it, what it, what technology has enabled people to do is screen properties. So they added an extra level. Like I've always wanted when I was in production, when I was working with a buyer, I did not we did not go and see a property physically until they actually drove the neighborhood. So
right.
the great thing is everybody should be having virtual tours. Everyone should have a ton of photos, which is interesting. Not everyone does. I think that everybody should have a 3D model walkthrough and allow
Hmm.
people to walk through it virtually and add that as a funnel step so that you
Yeah.
can eliminate all the people who are not interested and the only people coming through are the people who are not tire kickers. Let them kick the tires from the comfort of their own home, right?
Yeah.
So, but that kind of ties into what you're saying is that AI now has the ability to have a custom experience with anybody watching it and walk through. Is that what I'm like Max Headroom?
Yeah. So I mean, we're for just for some more specific, we're feeding it. These are the types of questions that you want to ask. Like, don't get super duper creative, but we're hyping it up. Like, you're the best real estate sales assistant on earth. Like, you give phenomenal experience. You don't take no for an answer. So it's like, hey, here's who you are. Here's how you want to have a conversation with people. You're having a conversation via SMS. You want to keep short, response driven questions. Here's a list of example questions to be able to pull from. Your primary goal is to schedule an appointment with the prospect, things like that. So that's like the initial, like the prompt that we're feeding into ChatGPT to then have those questions or those responses coming back to people.
That's great.
Ultimately, at the end of the day, with like leading to a phone call, leading to joining, a live, webinar or something like that.
Yeah.
So we got to keep that human in the loop, because that's where the market's at right now.
Well,
At
I can
least
tell you,
that's
I
my
mean, we're
job
going to
to help.
continue to talk about this in our weekly live with Luke and Brett. This is the hot topic. This is something that we're both working on from very different perspectives. We're both working on it. And if you're not familiar with it, you should go. It's a free account with ChatGPT. You should go and actually get on it, play with it. I'm going to go after this. I'm going to make sure that I can figure out how to get on the waiting list for Bard. And there are better names. But
Sure.
yeah, so
Hit or miss.
that's it for today. Any parting words, Luke?
If you have questions or need help with any of this stuff, don't hesitate to reach out.
There you go. We'll see you
Let's
guys
rock and
next
roll.
week. Bye.